The LED panel is split up into 3 sections, the top, middle, and bottom. Each section has 2 LEDs attached together, totaling 100 nodes or lights. We use a 5V 20A power supply to run the Arduino and lights. So to use that, first we need to get power to the power supply. We can take a standard IEC, or really any grounded cable, any grounded power cable that is, take off the end and attach it to the power supply. So that's taking the three strands and attaching them to the correct terminals. Make sure that those are the correct terminals, otherwise you will definitely be hurting your power supply and it won't be fun. Now, since the panel is in 3 sections, we need to use 3 separate power cables or runs. On the power supply, hook up each pair of 2 to the positive and negative terminals. On the other side of those cables, strip them and twist them to the power in on the sections. We're attaching them to the positive and negative of each section. If the positive and negative are flipped, the section will not light up when everything is attached. So if in the end a section doesn't work, try flipping the power that's going to it. Or you could just keep a consistent scheme, because each cable, you can differentiate between them by looking at if it has print on it or if it doesn't. So if you keep a consistent scheme with that, you should be good to go. The other thing that we need to power is the Arduino. We can take the cable that came with it and cut off the USB-A side. This is the larger connector. Then we can strip what's remaining down to the red and black wires. All the other wires are not needed. They are used for data. Run a cable pair to the first section and attach one of the strands to the positive of the first section. You may ask, I thought we already used the positive to power it. Yeah, that's true, but in this case we're using the positive on the actual plug. So there's the power there's the 2 strands that we use to power it, but then there's also a plug. We can chop off the plug, and the outer 2 are positive and negative, and the middle is data. We'll get to data in a little bit. But for now, just attach the positive. Then attach the strand connected to the positive to the red on the USB cable. We will use the second strand to get the negatives from all the sections. Cut the second strand about halfway up the panel and run strands from each of the plug negatives to that strand. What this does is not only power the Arduino, but provide a way for data to get back to the Arduino. Speaking of data, we need to get data to the sections. Run a cable to the first section and attach it to D3 on the Arduino. This is our data pin that we defined in the code. Attach the data line to the middle cable on the plug. That's what we referenced earlier. The middle is data and the outer 2 are positive and negative. The data is the only thing that's passed on from section to section. All the other lines are cut and do not pass, as said in step 2 of the instructables. Now that everything is wired except for the buttons, which is covered later, we're going to move on to construction. And what we're going to do is we're going to twisty tie, or not twisty tie, but attach to the strips by just cutting off the ends, stripping off the ends of the power, and using the caps to keep them together. For the frame of the LED panel, we used 1x3s with 140 inches total. So on the sides we had 40 inches, not on the sides. On the top it was 40 by 30, so 240 length or inches and 230 inches. So we nailed those to the side, and we're using standoffs to separate glass from the end. Now for the cover of the LED panel. What we used is a giant piece of acrylic per se, but you could have used Lexan or a similar product. and that was attached to the metal using some nuts and bolts from our local hardware store. And those are listed on the website or on the instructables under materials. Holes were drilled in the metal and through the Lexan as well, and the bolts were fed through using some nuts and some bolts, held it right on there. This cover ensures that nothing makes the ping pong balls come off, which easily do come off. Speaking of ping pong balls, those ping pong balls were glued on using super glue gel, and holes were drilled in them to make sure to fit around the individual lights. So first you drill the holes, then you glue them on. So it's a very repetitive process. You literally have to do it 300 times